Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the little delay in getting started. We, of course, had some technical difficulties, but our gurus in the background have figured that all out. And welcome to Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine's live stream. And it's called Inside Look at Research and the One Health Initiative at Ross Vet. Today on our panel, I am Jeannie DiPretoro, and I have been with Ross since 2008. My main purpose for living at Ross is I interview students for entrance into veterinary school. Also, we have Ruth Braganza. Ruth is our postgraduate coordinator who handles everything and everyone with respect to who wants to do research, who wants to explore One Health. They have to have their initial conversation with Ruth. And then right now, the person you see, Jenny Kim. Jenny is one of our Master in One Health, a candidate for her degree coming soon at the end of December this year. And joining us in a little while will be one of our veterinary students who she's in her clinical year at the University of Illinois, and she's on rotations right now. And she's hoping to join us when she finishes those rotations, and that's Emily Dodd. So for everyone tuning in, please share your questions throughout the session so we can field them to our guests in real time, to the panel in real time. Just type them in and we'll make sure they get to the right person. You'll also notice that there is a URL pinned at the top of your Facebook page in the comments area, which will direct you to a page to find out more about Ross Vet. Okay, so let's get started. I will ask Ruth to start us off and tell us a little bit about herself, why she's at Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine, and what she's up to with all things One Health and research. Take it away, Ruth.
Thanks, Jeannie. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here today. So I'm Ruth Braganza. As Jeannie mentioned, I'm the postgrad administrator at Ross. I've been here for about 8 years now. And for me, what really brought me to Ross is the whole One Health philosophy. It just resonates with me. And in the time that I've been here, it's great to see how our research programs have grown over that time. It's wonderful to see our DVM students really embrace the opportunities that they have to get engaged with research here on campus and on island, our beautiful island of St. Kitts, where we have many opportunities to explore the wildlife, as well as the standard kind of biomedical research, which you would expect at any kind of reputable university or school. What else? And yeah, as well as that, apart from the DVM programs and the research, which we are well known for, we're also here to let everyone know that research is a key feature on the school, and it's expanded into opportunities such as master's and doctoral degree programs, which we offer here on island. So we're here to appeal not just to the DVM crowd, but to everyone else really who wants to engage with research on island.
Okay, Ruth, can you say something a little bit more about the research centers and how we divide up our research into those 4 centers?
Sure. So you'll see that beautiful building there is our research building. In there, we've got a suite of 4 laboratories, biosafety level 2 labs, and our research is divided up into 4 research centers. And that really covers a whole spectrum of research. You'll see that we have a Center for One Health, which focuses on zoonotic and neglected tropical diseases. We also have a Center for Integrative Mammalian Research, which is really focusing on pure biomedical research, animal models of disease, pain studies, and things like that. Our third center is the Center for Conservation Medicine and Ecosystem Health, whereby many we have a strong marine focus, looking at coral diseases off our beautiful shores here, as well as some of the marine life, the sea turtles, lobster populations, really ways in which we can protect and enhance those species, but also the invasive species that are on island, such as the monkeys, mongoose, and ways in which we can seek to control their population on island. And our fourth centre is the Centre for Veterinary Medical Education, whereby we really look at opportunities to enhance the learning for our vet students by using things such as simulations and models for learning.
Thanks, Ruth. I think I'm going to bring Jenny Kim in now. Jenny is one of our as I said, one of our Master of One Health students. And Jenny, Ruth just laid out a nice foundation for you to tell us about your research for your master's degree and which which center you're engaged in. So if you can just kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how that is enhancing your interest in veterinary medicine.
Sure. Ruth actually brought up my topic exactly. So I'm working with primarily the prevalence of parasitic hookworm in dogs and faint kits. When I was working in the parasitology department at IDEX, I frequently came across hookworm in the samples that I worked with. I thought if I was seeing hookworm here in New Jersey, how much more would I see in a more favorable environment, such as the Caribbean? So I'm very grateful for my thesis advisor, Dr. Ketsis. She was guiding me through data analysis to explore the impacts of this disease. And I hope that my research broadens awareness of hookworm in general, because it's a neglected tropical zoonotic disease.
Jenny, introduce yourself. I didn't give you a chance to do that. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey, why you're here with us today.
Of course.
Emily Dodd has just joined us. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Okay. So hi, my name is Jenny Kim. I'm currently in my 6th and final semester of my 2-year Master of Science in One Health program at Ross University. And like Jeannie mentioned, I'm currently on track to graduate this December. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Animal Science from Rutgers University with a concentration in pre-veterinary medicine and research. Currently, I work in the clinical research industry. I help with veterinary clinical trials, and I also have experience working as a parasitology lab technician at IDEX Laboratories, along with 6 years of experience as a vet technician. And while I do have a lot of hands-on experience, my grades were less than ideal to apply directly to veterinary schools. So I decided to research graduate programs and was happy to find that Ross offers the master's program in One Health.
Jenny, how has your master's program, how shall I say, how has it changed your way of thinking about veterinary medicine prior to the Master's in One Health, when you were thinking of becoming a veterinarian? Now that you've gone through a Master's in One Health and you're doing research, what do you think of your role as a future veterinarian?
Sure. One Health actually impacted my approach to veterinary health significantly, I would say. As a relatively new field of study, before I applied to my program, I hadn't really heard of the term One Health. But what really appealed to me was the practical, systems-based approach to solving health issues. So how I explain it to people is that it's very similar to public health, but with a more inclusive understanding that not only people, but animals and the environment all affect each other, are all connected, and these relationships should be taken into account when approaching health issues. So essentially what OH strives for is to foster communication and collaboration between professionals in their respective fields to come together to close these gaps in knowledge to solve health problems. And throughout my One Health journey, this definition has changed for me. So I'm really interested in going into maybe like a holistic route as a veterinarian.
Thank you, Jenny.
Mhm.
So will Emily be allowed to join us now? There she is. Welcome, Emily
Hey, I'm
Dodd.
allowed.
Yay, Emily
Hello.
Dodd. Emily, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. My name is Emily. I am in my final semester in the DVM program. I'm actually completing my clinical year at the University of Illinois, so it is much colder than it was on St. Kitts. That was a huge adjustment. I'm from North Carolina originally, and I went to UNCW for my undergrad. I've got a dog. I've got two cats who were both the best souvenirs ever from the island, and also fish. I'm very interested in small animal and exotic private practice, but I also have a huge passion for green initiatives, especially within the veterinary industry.
Emily, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in research.
Sure. So I first got involved in research because actually one of my professors, Dr. Matthew Valentine, who, fun fact, was the man on the intro slide at the beginning of this presentation, he announced to our class that he was interested in having some volunteers for his new project. So I went up to him after class, got to know a little bit of what it was about, and I started that way. And it eventually turned into a paid position, ended up lasting about 2 years. So it was a really, really good long-term experience.
But you didn't go for the degree.
I did not. Nope. I've always wanted to be a veterinarian since I was a little girl. And the research just kind of helped supplement that for me in the curriculum.
And how did it change or enhance your understanding of your role as a veterinarian?
Oh, wow. It did a lot. So it really, like going back to One Health, we know we just spoke on it. It really helped tie everything together, that human, animals, and the environment. All of the health is related, it's all connected. So when the health of one is disrupted, the health of the other is affected as well. So especially, in vet med, we really focus on the animal component of that. But I think it's important to take a step back and look at the whole. We talk about things like zoonoses, so they affect both the humans and the animals. Then we talk about things like algal blooms and other toxins in the environment that also affect animals and people. So everything is related. So doing this research really helped tie all of that together for me. It got me out into the community and it got me out of my comfort zone. So that helped as well.
Thanks, Emily. Ruth, I'm wondering if you'd like to talk about One Health and the One Health initiative and Ross's commitment to One Health and through the research.
Sure.
Sure.
So as Emily mentioned there, we really promote our campus as being a One Health campus, and with that we are able to every year we connect with our fellow medical students, the medical schools that are on island, and other key stakeholders in the healthcare and health promotion field, whether it be through providing a natural diet. Anyone that's really interested, and we work with the St. Kitts government who are doing diabetes screening and awareness within the community. And it's been really nice because I think One Health really is the opportunity for not just our vets to realize that it's not solely about the health of an animal, that their responsibilities go beyond that, to really look at that connection that we have to our animals and to the planet, to the environment. And it works in the reverse way as well. It's a reminder to our medical colleagues, our human health colleagues, that you need to consider the role that a veterinarian has and the experience that a vet will have when we're looking at disease outbreaks, pandemics, all of these kind of things, where a vet will often have a kind of first-hand experience of how this disease can be transmitted and ways in which it can be contained also. The One Health theme has really grown our medical students love collaborating with us. We actually won, we were awarded a prize from the One Health Commission a couple of years ago for our One Health activities, whereby we really go out into the community and we just work to promote the whole concept of holistic health improvements.
Thank you, Ruth. We have a question from someone out in the audience for Jenny and Emily. How do you think your experience in One Health and in research will help you in your future career? Jenny, would you like to start?
I think the biggest thing that I learned was that the program helped me to develop a One Health mindset, to look at the bigger picture and see how all these different components can really play into a bigger picture here. So it enhanced my critical thinking skills, and it's actually come in handy in work discussions also.
How about you, Emily?
Yeah, definitely going along with that. For me, it helped like use a different muscle in my brain for critical thinking and problem solving, and to just be a lifelong learner. You know, science is, we're always learning new things, like maybe anatomy won't change, but other things are always changing. So it's important to keep up to date and keep asking questions, keep asking why, and research, and like everything has really helped push everything in that direction as far as that goes.
Thank you. So Ruth, someone out in our audience would like to know if Ross works with the community, the petition community, or the government on research and the One Health initiative.
Yeah, we work very closely with both the Ministry of Health when we're doing some studies looking at rotaviruses, for example, the transmission of viruses responsible for diarrhea within the community. We also work with the Ministry, the Department of Agriculture. We have a very close relationship with them, looking at herd health, and I mean, it's endless. We look at right now. There's some projects going on looking at tick-borne diseases, the ableoma, and which has been a real problem in St. Kitts over the last couple of years, which has led to a real decline in the health of many of the cattle on island. So we've got many students actually engaged in masters, and a student who is with us on a PhD with the St. Kitts government, and not just in St. Kitts, but also within the region on other islands. So it's definitely something that we work closely with the government and the community.
And so, and Jenny and Emily, both your research also reflected what was going on St. Kitts. Am I correct, Jenny? Because you were working with the canines on St. Kitts, and Emily, you were working with the mosquitoes, weren't you? Yeah. So yep. Jenny, talk a little bit about what you did with the petition canines, and then Emily, if you wouldn't mind talking about the mosquitoes, because both of those are relative to this question.
Sure. So since I'm remote, I mostly dealt with the data that was from the fecal analyses done on the canines on St. Kitts. So we looked at different population sets. We looked at first the free roaming stray population, as well as kennel dogs that are owned by RUS. And then we compared those to see kind of what is the general prevalence rate of St. Kitts, and then to apply that to a greater scale to the rest of the Caribbean.
Emily?
Wow, that's really cool, Jenny. So my research experience was with the mosquitoes on St. Kitts. So it took a village. There was a large group of students who volunteered for this project, I should say. Definitely not the only one. But basically, we selected 30 sites around the island of all different land usages. So like agricultural versus rural versus urban. And we collected mosquitoes at these sites, and we were basically testing for presence of 3 different viruses in these mosquitoes. So it was important at the time for dengue, chikungunya, and dengue. So we were looking for those within the mosquitoes. And then the second part of the research study was to test blood samples within monkeys that are actually on St. Kitts. So they have the green vervets there. So we were trying to see if a relationship was between the mosquitoes infecting the monkeys as well as the people who were actually becoming sick with these viruses.
Well, thanks. That's very helpful, making it very local. Ruth, a question has come up. Is there any research being done related to animal molecular genetics?
I would like to say probably. I can't think. We definitely we work frequently in the field of gene sequencing. So if someone's interested in genetics, for sure. I know that we're looking at obesity studies. I'm not sure how much we go into the genetics behind that. But for example, some of the studies Emily was talking about, we'll be looking at sequencing of some of the strains, and in terms of identification for both diseases and for mosquito strains, things like that. So also with salmonella strains, a lot of the we do genetics sequencing for many of our infectious disease studies in terms of characterization of the organisms which we're looking at. I know that we have also looked at, on more of a molecular basis, some of the characteristics in the African green monkey as a model for Alzheimer's disease. So it's really quite a vast array of research that we go into. So if someone has a specific interest, for sure we have a lot of faculty who are well versed in many topics. They're not there just to teach, but they are well-known researchers in their own right who are publishing across these fields. So we have the ability to use their experience to supervise projects that students may be interested in exploring.
Thank you, Ruth. Question has come up, and I think all 3 of you can answer it in your own way. First of all, someone was asking, what are the courses in the One Health program? So Ruth, if you would answer that.
Sure.
But then I'm wondering about Emily, if she took any of the courses as an elective. And then Jenny, I'm wondering what's your favorite course that you took? So it's a trifecta. You go, Ruth.
Okay, I'll clear the stage for our fabulous students, but just to let everyone know, the One Health, we have it as a master's. They're both online classes, so they're completely online. The master's in One Health, which is a 42 credit class, and the certificate in One Health, which was actually just launched in January, and both are very popular. And the certificate is a 14 credit. It can lead into the Masters in One Health. So they comprise the same courses, and it's up to you to kind of pick the courses that you want within a kind of model. There are some rules around which you should pick. So for example, some of the classes that we have: conservation medicine, disaster management, animal health management. Jenny, I'll turn it over to you. You tell me what your favorites were in there.
Sure. I have to say I do have an interest in infectious disease, so I love that sort of thing. So zoonoses was the class I took last semester, and I love that class. I love being able to learn about all the zoonotic diseases and the vectors, and it was very interesting being in that class and seeing the parallels that we're experiencing because of the current COVID-19 pandemic, and comparing that to the 1918 flu pandemic that we're learning about in the class.
Emily, what about you? Did you happen to take any of the One Health courses as an elective?
Unfortunately, I did not.
Okay.
Well, what happens with that, Jeannie, as well, it really varies. We're constantly changing the curriculum and expanding the program to kind of suit the needs of our student. And so it will change. Although the program is online, the classes that we offer as electives for the DVM are actually taught in class. So they vary slightly, but the same themes are covered. It's just something that we offered to the DVM. We saw that there was the need, and that's free of charge. That's not any additional cost to the DVM students, but the options do vary each semester.
It occurs to me that we are 30 minutes into our live stream, and we never defined what One Health is. It's really possible that there's someone out in the audience that has no idea what this One Health initiative is, and maybe we need to define that for them, Ruth.
I think everyone will have a slightly different concept, but I mean, to me, in its simplistic form, and this is really what I love about it, I do think it is one of those phrases that everyone can identify with. One Health, that oneness, the holistic approach that it speaks to. And again, it as I think it highlights the dependency that we have as a planet upon each other. So human health, animal health, environmental health, you fix one, you fix them all. If one's broken, the likelihood is that they're all going to be broken. So rather than taking this segregated approach, it really speaks to embrace all. And I think public health comes within the framework, but I'm open to hearing other people's suggestions. Everyone's got something different to say about it.
Well, let's open it up then. Ladies, would you like to add to what Ruth has shared about what she thinks One Health, the definition of One Health is?
Yeah, I think she pretty much hit the nail on the head with it. And I think once you start to realize what One Health is, you start to notice it around. And I think the approach is just being more mindful about how our practices affect all these different areas. We think we are just focused on one thing, but it's important to see how it affects the other systems as well. So like she said, a more holistic approach.
And I agree.
Jenny, would you like to add anything?
No, I completely agree with what Ruth and Emily stated as their definition of One Health. Like I mentioned before, that it's more inclusive. And if you take a step back to kind of realize all the different avenues where the spheres of influence could reach, and if we all just brought together and collaborated, we could actually help find, oh, hey, I thought this was my domain, but it's actually our domain, and we could come together and fix it together.
So today I was just in preparation for this evening's live stream, I did a little Google research, and I actually found the name of the person who coined the phrase One Health, and that it's a Dr. William Koresh, and he currently is with Eco Health Alliance. And he was having this discussion with a physician over the Ebola crisis. And so in this discussion, they were discussing the fact that apparently, I'm just taking it from their website, 10,000 gorillas had died from Ebola. And also they were talking about the fact that human beings were dying from Ebola. And so this Dr. Koresh said, it's not a human health problem. It's not a wildlife health problem. It's a One Health problem. And therein lies how this term One Health came into being. And as I said, I have to give attribution here. It's the ecohealthalliance.org is their website. But they said that 75% of all emerging diseases are either zoonotic or vector-borne. And so, and both the zoonotic and the vector-borne are all coming, that spread comes from animals to humans in one way or another. So it's really, really important for all of us who are interested in animal medicine to have a sense of One Health. So, Ruth, do you mind mentioning what student research opportunities might be available to DVM students and then to students who are interested in the master's degree?
Which pathology research did you say?
Well, yeah, you could start there because that actually answers Harry's question.
I'm seeing the pathology research question.
Well, we do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Harry wants to know, once he starts at RUSVM, how could he do pathology research?
Well, Harry, I have to tell you that our dean is an eminent pathologist in his own right. So pathology is a big thing over here for us. And within the brand new research building, you'll see that there is a huge pathology suite. It's state of the art room over there for doing necropsies, and it's got a beautiful viewing chamber for our students for teaching purposes as well. But for research, there are many things. I mean, I don't know where to begin. I mean, I don't know, Emily, how much roadkill can we find in St. Kitts?
So
constantly?
much.
So there are many opportunities for pathology research. We've got a strong, in line with the pathology suite that we have a fabulous tissue processing and histology section, which really complements everything that we do there. So if that's the route that you need to go into or you want to go into, by all means, Ross is your place. We also not just for our DVM students, but it's a school whereby we offer a pathology internship every 2 years. It's a 2-year position, and so you'll find that that changes regularly. It's a position which is much competed for, and it keeps everything really fresh. We've got a very strong pathology team.
Is it all right if I add to that really quickly?
Please do.
Yeah, there's also a really great pathology club. I was in it for 3 to 4 semesters. I can't remember now, but they're extremely active, and it's one of the clubs that has the most hands-on. You're doing a lot of necropsies, and you get to know the professors very well in that club as well.
And one of our students was just awarded $1,000 grant or $1,000 award for her pathology research, which Ross met. And so she was able to pay off some of those loans, right, Emily?
And for everyone, I do want to say, because I have been very vague about the research opportunities, but it's because they are so vast and they're constantly changing. So please go on our website, on the Ross website, if you go to research under student opportunities is where you'll find all of the opportunities for our DVM students to engage with research. If you're thinking about, you can then use that opportunity to dip into research, wet your feet a little if you're not new, if you haven't experienced research before. We've always got faculty who are doing their own research and happy to have an extra pair of hands to assist. And then if that's something that you really like, it's always there for you as an opportunity to turn it into a dual degree, whereby you can undertake the DVM and the master's degree in between 1 and 3 extra semesters of your DVM. So many opportunities.
Sorry, Ruth, you just you segued right where I needed you to go without even knowing it. So the question that came in from the audience is, how closely does a student get to work with a faculty member doing research? And I think many members of our audience, certainly I know this from interviewing many students who love research, have engaged in research, but come from big state universities where there are lines waiting and papers to fill out, and it just takes such a long time for them to get involved in research with faculty. Would
Sure.
you tell our audience about the accessibility and the availability of our faculty to work with our students? And then maybe afterwards, Emily and Jenny could talk about how they were able to work with faculty. That'd be great.
So, as I mentioned, much of our faculty are actively engaged in research. It's a requirement for our AVMA accreditation. And so what you'll find is that they will be very hands-on in the lab. When they're not teaching, they will be hands-on in the lab. For research projects, you will always have at least one lead supervisor. And I mean, maybe Jenny might want to talk about how Dr. Jennifer Ketzius has been the key supervisor for her project and the role that she's played, even though they're remote.
Sure. So during my first semester of the One Health program, all of the professors that I take classes with, they all have like a little blurb on what kind of research they do, what fields they're interested in. So I looked through the list of professors and I reached out to Dr. Ketzius because she has parasitology research listed in her bio, and we shared that interest. So we set up a meeting together to discuss some opportunities for research, not just with her, but with all the different faculty at Ross. And of course, because of my limited access to the resources, living in New Jersey and being away from campus and without access to a lab, she really worked with me to accommodate me and work through that. And so I'm really thankful for Dr. Ketzius, and we also have I also have a second advisor at Cornell University, Dr. Forster, who's been very helpful in my thesis, and it's super helpful.
Wonderful. And then Emily, I mean, you have just embraced research from beginning to end. It's like I think she's one of our key research assistants. Tell us
Yeah, so
about
the
your
research
project.
really like evolved for me. It started as field work, and Dr. Valentine was with me every step of the way for all of my probably annoying phone calls when I had lots of questions, but he was always happy to help, and it kind of evolved into some other types of research, as in presenting it. So he was there for me when we decided to present the poster project for it. We actually, I think we had it up, I think 3 times. So there was like the reaccreditation ceremony. We had a One Health symposium, which was really great. It was up for that. And then also we had a 3-minute thesis competition, which was very cool. It was the first time we had done it at Ross. And so I had entered that competition, and my speech was on the mosquito research. And so my faculty was with me for every rehearsal, and he was there cheering me on in the audience too when it came time for the day. So you work very closely with the faculty, which is nice. You get a relationship that you wouldn't otherwise get in the classroom. And I don't know, this industry is very small, so it's good to have relationships like that.
Emily, do you think you can talk a little bit about the sea turtle monitoring network, and if you know anything about the coral network? If perhaps you can mention a little bit about those.
Yeah, so I'm not super duper familiar with the coral reef one, but the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network, they have a couple different things that they do on the island. One of the main ones is they have an in-water team that actually goes out snorkeling on the weekends, and they are collecting turtles. They're taking dimensions on them, weighing them, and then tagging them so that we can track movement. We also patrol the beaches during nesting seasons to try and protect the sea turtle eggs to give them the best possible chance at hatching and making it to the ocean. They also do things like rehab. So if there is a fishing line entanglement or a boat strike or something nearby where there's an injured turtle, they will work with rehabbing it and eventually releasing it. And along with that is there's a ton of community involvement with that. the locals on the island love to get involved in it, especially when it comes time for a public release. It's really important also to get businesses on board with this. So what I know this past July and the July before, they did a Plastic Free July initiative where they went around the island and they were just educating and got businesses to pledge, okay, we're going to use less single-use plastics because we see the harmful effects it has on the ocean, which is literally right in your backyard, pretty much everywhere you are on St. Kitts. So the Sea Turtle Mine Network does some great things for the environment and for the animals.
Thank you, Emily. Ruth, are you familiar with the Coral Network at all?
We are a member of the Marine Laboratories of the Caribbean, and we do have a very strong marine group. We've had several of our master's students produce their thesis on specific coral diseases. We've also had opportunities for interns from other universities to come over here and use our facilities and go out diving in order to complete their thesis for their master's projects. It's one of those areas that is continually growing, and we're very fortunate to have in the body of students that come to us some well experienced divers and even snorkelers who will be very willing to go out into the water to take some pictures, to do some tagging, and then go back to monitor those same sites over time to see what the health of the coral, and looking at ways in which we can kind of limit their loss of the coral, how we can apply that to other studies globally.
You know, Ruth, you just brought up another aspect of what happens in the One Health program. And Jenny made reference to the fact that her other advisor is at Cornell. Can you talk about some of the partnerships that you've developed with other universities throughout the world for the sake of collaboration?
Yeah, sure. We can touch upon a few. We're always striving to work on islands, as we were saying, with our local governments. Any animals or anything that we're doing which will have a bearing upon St. Kitts, it's our duty and our responsibility to keep our government closely informed. And then beyond that, in the region, much of our sea turtle work does expand into other islands. We are looking at, we have Widecast. Dr. Kimberly Stewart is a member of, or the director of the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Organisation here in St. Kitts, but a member of the Widecast, which is the wider Caribbean network for sea turtle monitoring. So the connections that we have there, we've also got a very strong connection with the Institute in Puerto Rico, the Manatee Rescue Center, and who've been very key involved with whale strandings within the area. Who else? Many of our PhDs are joint degrees with institutions, reputable institutions throughout the world. We've had the University of Edinburgh, Newcastle. I'm trying to think. There's opportunities for sure. And as our program grows and our connections grow continually, and our faculty, also the links that they have from existing institutions, we just maximize on those to really meet the needs of our students.
Thank you, Ruth. I want to turn it maybe a little bit now to the DVM in particular, and ask Jenny and ask Emily, why they chose Ross to explore the DVM degree. Emily, why don't you start?
Sure. I love this question. So I actually worked for two alumni, and they went to Ross like way back before they were even accredited, and they had nothing but good things to say then. And they would tell me stories, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I spoke to a Ross person. I'm not actually sure who, but I spoke to someone at a pre-veterinary conference, and I was like, okay, this is a real contender. Let's do this. And I applied. I actually started through the vet prep program, which was great. I got used to the island before I headed right on into the DVM program. And once I was there, I kind of jumped in headfirst into a bunch of different clubs and organizations, got to see what Ross was really about, and it was the best decision I could have made.
Well, did you choose Ross just because it was on a Caribbean island and you wanted to have fun in the sun?
It definitely didn't hurt. Definitely was a bonus. My family didn't complain about visiting either.
Jenny, how about you? What was you're in the application process, you're waiting for your decision, but why did you choose to apply to Ross?
That's exactly the same reason that Emily had. I have worked with some brilliant Ross graduates who are veterinarians, and they have such good things to say about it. And like she said, it can't hurt that it's on a Caribbean island. But what really spoke to me was you learn all the skills that you can need from Ross. They have a really hands-on program. I'm really interested in surgery, so they have a really strong surgery program there. And so just being in it, being hands-on, really, I think it's going to help me in the future to become a better veterinarian.
Thank you, Jenny. Ruth, we're wrapping up. We're at the end of our hour. I just wanted to ask you if you had any closing information for us about, maybe someone was asking if the program was online, or and maybe they joined us a little bit late. So maybe you could just talk about the Masters in Research, the Masters in One Health, the certificate, what they are, how they work, just to take us out.
In 4 minutes.
Yes.
I will say go to the website, please, to have a look at the Ross website. You will find everything that you need there. If you're interested in the DVM program, obviously in this time of COVID, there is a mix of, it's a learning which is blended both online and on campus. Our borders in St. Kitts officially open at the end of the month. So we're expecting to see some, we need to keep it fluid and see that evolve. So that's for the DVM program. If you're interested in research opportunities, you'll find the research page there. You can do that as a DVM student if you want to dabble in research, if you've never done that before. We would welcome you, and there you'll find an entire list of different projects which we continually update. If you're interested in the postgraduate program, so we're assuming you've got a bachelor's degree or equivalent. It doesn't have to be in animal sciences. If it's that you want to explore One Health and the opportunities that we have, outside of the DVM, please do, go to the website again, have a look at the postgrad, have a look at the programs. You'll see that for the masters and the PhDs, the research degrees, there's minimal taught components to that. They are research projects. What we intend for you to become from that is an active and well-versed researcher. You will have publications. That's really what we expect. So you'd write up a thesis, and that would be reviewed by external examiners. If you're having a PhD, you'd have an oral examination or your viva. And a body of work, at least 3 publications is what we'd expect from our PhD students, our PhD candidates. And if you're interested in One Health, we offer the certificate in One Health and the Masters in One Health. Both of those are online. The difference really being the number of credits in the Masters program. And there is a research component, as Jenny had mentioned, to the Masters in One Health, which we do our best to support you and to do that remotely with the facilities that you have available to you.
Thank you, Ruth. So just to reiterate, you've been watching Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine live stream about One Health and research at Ross Vet. With us was Ruth Braganza, who is the postgraduate coordinator, Jenny Kim, who is a current candidate and will be finishing up her research and being awarded her degree at the end of December, and Emily Dodd, who is one of our DVM students in her final semester of a clinical year and off to the Navly after that. Thank you to our gurus in the back whom you don't know, Sandra Mattel and Christine Lester, who have made it possible for us to answer your questions. Thank you all for being with us. I'm Jeannie DiPertoro. And anytime, don't forget that URL that's at the top of the Facebook page if you want any more information. Just give us a shout out. We'll be happy to brag about what you can do at Ross Vet. Good night, everybody.
Good night.